Hey guys, Natalia Schneimler here. I help boy moms have a better relationship with their sons and themselves by teaching them the tools how to manage their mind so that when anything comes up in life, they know exactly how to take care of themselves and their kid. Hey guys, how are you? It's Friday for me, woohoo, and my best friend just came over. We had lunch together. I just helped her do something for one of the projects she is doing, so that felt good. And we just had a nice little catch up. And so now I want to talk to you about something that can help you make things easier for you. Super, super easy to apply, and it will make anything easier. It will make your relationship easier, your job easier, your project easier, your anything that you want to make easier, you can do that. And it always starts with what makes things hard for us. So I'm going to give you my example as always and show you how I can make it hard for myself anytime, and then how I can make it easier for myself. And in fact, I do that back and forth. If I'm doing it consciously, of course, I'm going to try to do it easier. And if life is never straight, right? So sometimes I fall into the path where I am making it harder for myself. So that's what the example is about. And I'm going to talk to you about how I make it harder for myself recording this podcast for you, just as an example. But again, take it and you can apply it to any relationship that you have with yourself, with your husband, with your kids, with your mom, with your friend, anyone. So we make it harder for ourselves with what? You already know, you've listened to me for a while, with thoughts. But it's never enough to keep repeating this forever. We just have to keep on revisiting it until we are so good at switching back and forth. And then we still need reminders to switch, to notice our thoughts that make it hard for ourselves, because we're human. It's just what a human brain does. So after investigation and after doing this podcast for almost 4 years, woohoo, I know all the thoughts that make it really hard for me to make this podcast for you. So I'm going to tell you the thoughts, okay? So one of the thoughts that I sometimes think is, they already know this. Like what I want to talk to them about, they already know this, so there's no point in talking to them about it. That's one. That just stops me from moving forward with talking to you about it, right? I just feel down. I'm like, oh, great. That's not a good idea. Another one, I can't share this. This is embarrassing. That one, it brings a lot of shame to me, and I have to work through it and remind myself that this is a human experience, and if I'm suffering with this, I'm sure there's a lot of other people who are suffering with this, and bringing light to it, talking about it, is going to help me heal and help you heal. So see, this is how I switch from all these thoughts that make it hard for me, and I have to work with them because they regularly show up. Another one that I have is, this is not helpful. Like if I have an idea to talk to you about, and then I think, this is not helpful. That doesn't feel good. That's not going to help me record a podcast and talk about something that is going to be helpful, because I'm just going to shut myself down, right? Another thought that I have is, I don't know what I can help them with. Again, that creates a dead end. It creates a feeling of just shutting down. So here are all the feelings that I have that are created from these thoughts, and those feelings and those thoughts are what make it hard for me to do this podcast regularly, sometimes once in a while. And so shame, uninspired, embarrassed, withdrawn, just down or shut down. So knowing these helps me see them when they show up, and helps me not get so attached to them, helps me not feel them as hard. Or say I am subconsciously somehow am believing one of them, and I'm feeling like a dead end and I'm struggling. Even still, after a while, I still have an opportunity to notice it afterwards, and still I have an opportunity to address it and redirect myself to make it easier for myself. And that's actually exactly how I've had to do this for 4 years, because I've had these thoughts come and go constantly. And so I had to, the one that always works for me is, if this was helpful to me, it for sure will be helpful to someone else. So that one pulls me out of a lot of shame, out of a lot of just uninspiration. So I'm sharing this with you, and while I'm sharing with you, think about your own thing that you want to make easier. What are the thoughts? It's not the thing that's making it harder for you, because it was the thing, then you'd always have the same thoughts about it, just like this podcast, recording it. If it was always easy, if recording was easy, then I would always have the exact same thoughts recording the podcast, right? But it's not. The podcast stays the same, the recording stays the same, but the thoughts change, right? So that's what makes it easier or harder. So then I really know really well what thoughts make it super easy for me to record and love you guys. This one thought is, this is so helpful. Like, I am so fired up to talk to you about it because it was so helpful to me. Like, I have to share it. I feel a sense of obligation, and I'm excited for you to implement it, to use it. And of course, it's always about thoughts, but that's the stuff that helps. So another thought that really helps me is, it helped me, it will help you for sure. It will help them for sure. Okay, I already shared that with you, but that's just written down for me. So that one is really true. So it's true. Of course it's true. Of course it's a thought that I believe is true. So I have a lot of emotion and excitement attached to this one thought. And that really makes it a lot easier for me to do this. What thoughts do you have? You have to really dig them up. And the way you do that is by observing your own mind. And the way you get better at observing your mind is by just noticing it for a long time, either writing it down or just talking to yourself, or even listening to yourself talk when you're talking to other people, because you're going to be sharing all the thoughts that you have with other people. All the sentences that you say, those are all the thoughts you're thinking. So for example, if you're complaining about your boss or your job, those are all the thoughts that you have that are probably making it harder for you to enjoy your job, right? If you're complaining. Or all the thoughts that you have about your kids, that you love your kids and you think they're super cute and smart. Those are all the thoughts that make it easier for you to take care of them, to do things that you don't want to do, right? Okay, so another thought is that I have about the podcast that helps me get it done is, I'm excited about this idea. So as you can see, I've already mentioned this to you when I was talking about my other thoughts. Like, this is so helpful because they're like family of thoughts. So once you start down a negative path, you're going to have all these family of thoughts that are making it harder for you. They're just all going to go flowing together because they're all related like a family. And then these ones, like, this is so helpful, right away moves me into the next thought. I'm so excited about this, which is a family of things that make it easier for me. And then the next thought is, this will help them. And then the next thought is, they need to hear this. And so now, after just five thoughts that I've practiced, that I believe that create really powerful, good emotions for me, like, I'm excited, I'm inspired, I'm dedicated, I'm driven, and I feel obligation to talk to you. After that makes it so much easier for me to show up and help you here. And so just noticing both of the sides, you will become an expert on your own thinking, both of them, the negative and the positive. Because over the 4 years, I cannot tell you how many times I've been to the harder part of it, where I literally had to drag myself and really, like, basically squeeze juice out of myself to show up for this, because it was really hard for me. I was making it hard for me. I was thinking, I don't have anything to offer. They already know this. This is not helpful. But something in me that kept driving it was the commitment to show up. And I showed up, and I had to work hard to work on these thoughts to then switch into, okay, let's just record because this is helpful. This one idea will help them. So for you, with your relationships, with your relationship with your job, or any other thing that you have thoughts about, you're going to have both of those sides there, and you just have to get to know them. And the other thing, actually, I'm going to add here is helpful questions. So for me to switch from the harder part to the easier part, I have to ask myself helpful questions. For example, what helped me? If I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I don't know what to talk about, I really don't want to do this, there's nothing for me to share, then I have to start with this one question: what was helpful to me? And then, of course, I can look at all the things that I was just struggling with. How did I get help? How did I fix them? What was helpful? And then I can see easier that, oh, okay, this makes sense. This was helpful to me, then I'm sure it'll be helpful to someone else. So what could be helpful questions for you? For example, for when you're dealing with people and you're not in a good place with a certain person and you are making it really hard for yourself because you're thinking all the negative thoughts about that person, a really helpful question for me, for you could be different, could be something along the lines of, what's going on for them? Why, what could they be thinking, or what could they be feeling to be acting this way? And then I get an insight into what's going on for them, right? Like, for example, with my son who takes forever to get to bed, it's so easy to get frustrated because he's moving so slow and not getting anything done, and not getting in bed. But then if I ask myself, what's going on for him? Like, why is he doing this? I can get a better understanding that, he had a big day. He did this and this and this and this, and he's just tired. And he just does not want to do any of this. And then I can connect and understand that feeling, because I felt it. Like, yeah, I know the feeling of not wanting to do it, and I understand being tired. So I can then have more patience and connection and understanding with him if I ask myself a useful question. So adding these questions that make it easier for you can become a practice, a habit that you use for yourself when you find yourself that you're making it harder for yourself. All right, guys. So if you're still stuck making it harder for yourself, if you simply want to get to know what's actually going on in your mind and you're struggling with that, which can happen when we can't really observe our thoughts, then coaching is for you. And so I invite you to simply go to my website, sign up for, go to the tab that says sign up for a mini session, and I will be happy to help you, because coaching is where you get to know yourself from the outside with my help. And then you will be an expert on your own thoughts and feelings, and you will see it each time. You're like, all right, I know these guys. I've been here before. And that's the beauty of it. Once you get to know it, it's not like there's new thoughts that all that much. It's actually the same ones that keep on reoccurring. And once you know the 3-5 different ones, then you know pretty much all of them. And then they just families of them of the same flavor. All right, guys, I love you all so much. Have a great week, and I'll talk to you next week. Bye.